What's up, degenerates? Well, Mad Merrigan here for Colbert Sports. Right, I'm joined by a man that the bookies hate to see coming on the big screen because we'll call him the big race basher, none other than taking down the big handicap in York with his sonny boy listening and then coming up in the Haydock Spring Cup a week later with a 40-1 winner, tipped up here on Colbert Sports. Mickey D, the bookie basher. How's things?
Not too bad, Paddy. All in good form. Good run there for a few weeks, but hope to pick out a few more for tomorrow. Now there's a great race and 5 Group 1s and 4 Group 1s and a Group 2 and a big handicap. So. Something for everybody.
Yes, very, very interesting. And what a season it has been. Really enjoyed it as it comes to a close on Champions Day as well. Just a quick word on the jockey's title. I see Oisin Murphy looking like now he's going to do it again. I think he's 3 clear now going into tomorrow. And William Buick, real good effort back in second. Unless William has a really outstanding day tomorrow, you'll be thinking Oisin will be crowned champion jockey again.
I was in the bag after that last winner there in the 5-10. She's in the bag.
Whitehaven. And I think congratulations to Marco Gianni, is it? If that's how you pronounce it. If not, I think he's champion apprentice. Right, Mickey D. Well, we'll start at the beginning. So it's a long distance race. It's just shy of 2 mile. I think a couple of yards shy of 2 mile. But what a race it promises to be. We have Trushan at the head of the betting at 15-8. An interesting runner here is Hamish, and then the great Stradivarius, Baron Sandy over for the Joseph O'Brien and Princess Zoe. Anything really standing out to you here? I thought Trushan definitely the horse to beat with the season he's having.
Yeah, it's a great renewal altogether. 2 favourites only in the last 10 years. Stradivarius won it when he was evens, and Order of St. George won it at 4-5, which is surprising for a 2 mile race, like, that more favourites haven't won it. And big prices have won as well down through the years. Trushan won it last year, and has his ground. Mightn't be soft enough for him, but they're soft in the description, so that should be good enough for him. 4-year-olds have won the last 3 years, and I was looking at Baron Samedi, Joe O'Brien's horse. It won in Longchamp last year on heavy ground in last October. Then it won the Vintage Crop Stakes in Navan in April. So it ran in a Group 1 then in France, in St. Cloud, to 5th to Broome, and to 3rd in the Irish Ledger, and it stayed on really strongly up the stretch to Sonny Boy Liston, and it mile 6, and it looked like that the extra 2 furlongs would be very beneficial to it. It's raised 112. It's entitled to be right there. Apart from it's the 4th highest rated horse in the race, so 112. So it's a 4-year-old. It's improving. It's likely raced this year. It's about 8-1. So I'll be having a few quid on that each way, and a few quid maybe without the favourite as well in that market. Hoping that it might come second.
Definitely an interesting runner. I thought Hamish was quite interesting, or Hamish, sorry. I thought Hamish was quite interesting. I don't like the second run back after a big absence. Look, if he progresses, obviously, from his return win, Hookham didn't do the form any bad due after bolting up the other day again. So definitely Hamish, an interesting horse, but I think the ground will probably just be the dead side of good. I wouldn't say it'll be much softer. I'd say it'll be just on the kind of the little bit worse than good. But I think Trushan, it's very, very hard to go again.
Trushan beat Hamish 2 years ago in the maiden, and Hamish was 4-7 that day. But something must have happened to Vinci because he's only ran a couple of times since.
That's right. It's interesting. Yeah, I like the case you made for Baron Samedi. Definitely kept progressing through the ranks. Was a good winner. Ran a very good race behind your friend the last day. Princess Zoe coming back from France. She was expected, I think, to do a bit more than she did out there, but she still ran okay. I don't know. I'm just going to stick with Trushan. I just think with the year he's having, Hollydoyle back on board, I think whatever passes him will have it won. Just a quick mention to the good old Stradivarius. If he could pull this off, because this, if he could, I'm not saying he can, but if he could, it would be phenomenal. He'd bring the house down the last day of the season. But I think they'll have the race won when they've Trushan bet. Hamish, definitely an interesting runner. Right, we'll move on to what is an absolute cracking race. The sprint race, Mickey D. I think our Power, who was very good the last day, heads to betting. There's not a lot in it. Dragon Symbol, very good horse, but always finds a way to lose. Rohan, definitely interesting with a little bit of dig in the ground. Creative Force, Minzal, Kinross. This is a very, very good race. Where does it lie here, Mickey?
Yeah, it's a great field. It's all together. You could pick 5 or 6, and you still mightn't pick the winner. One favourite only in the last 10 years. Glen Shield won it last year at 16-1. There was a 33-1, a 28-1, a 10-1, and a 13-2 in the 4 previous years. So top of the market means nothing. I like Creative Force. It's out of Dubai, out of Kaiser, that great Australian horse, Mayor. And it has speed and cut to the ground in the pedigree. So the few times it was beaten, it was good to Ferrum. To 6th to Emiratiana in the Betfair, that was good to Ferrum, and it was 5th in the July Cup to Starman. That was good to Ferrum. Like it was 2nd to Kinross in the Lennox Stakes. That was a Group 2 over 7 furlongs. But I think ideally 6 will suit. It won the Jersey Stakes in the Royal Ascot. It wasn't going away that day in soft ground, 7 furlongs. It's drawn low, and I think you need to be drawn low. The last number of years, I think there was only one higher than 10, if I'm not mistaken, in the last number of years. They were all less than 10, and there's 20 in the field, isn't there?
There's a big field, yeah.
Big field. So I'm on Creative Force.
The bookies are being generous with the places.
Creative Force will do me tomorrow.
Yeah, so look, a very interesting race, but Mickey D, we're in agreement. Good minds think alike. Creative Force for me, definitely the value in the race. He has excuses, all them runs Mickey just mentioned. In Haydock the last day, Haydock's a quick 6 furlongs on quick ground, where he was William Buick. He wasn't off the bridle, but he just had to nudge him the whole way through that race, and then got a little tight for room late on. But I think if he rides him with plenty of confidence, just jumps out and sits on him, it's such a stiff 6. I think it's made from tomorrow. Little bit of ease in the ground, and I think we're going to see, is Creative Force a really top class sprinter tomorrow or not? That's the way I'm looking at it. He has everything in his favor. He has a brilliant jockey on board. So yeah, let's hope he can travel away in behind him, because he's going to be finishing out this stiff 6 really strong. I'm not going to mention another horse because there's no point. I zeroed in on him the minute I watched all his runs back this morning, and I just think everything looks aligned tomorrow. So let's hope the Bookie Basher and Mad Merrigan can take a few bob off the bookies with Creative Force. Right, Mickey, we're going to move on to the fillies. We have Snowfall, who's had an amazing season. A little bit underwhelming her last couple of runs, but apart from that, she's been very, very good. We have Albla Flora, who was a dynamite winner here one day earlier in the season. Invite showed improved form the last day, and I suppose another interesting one here, Shada, disappointing the last day in New York, was it, I think, but definitely had some nice form prior. Where does it lie here, Mickey?
Won last year by Wonderful Tonight, went off 4-1 favourites. The ground came right for it on the day. 3 favourites, including that one in the last 10 years. John Gosling and Aidan O'Brien have won 4 out of the last 5. They won 2 each. Best line of form in it is its last one probably would be Snowfall. It was 6th in the Arc. It's only beaten less than 5 lengths. It's rated 120. It was won the last 4 years by a 3-year-old, and 6 out of the last 7 by a 3-year-old. So it ticks all the boxes. It's rated 120. on the ratings, it's the biggest certainty since Hannibal crashed the fucking Alps on an elephant, like, you know. But you can't go away from it. It's its own even money, you know. It won. I know there was it was beaten France 2 runs back, but excuse that run and then 2 Group 1s before that, including the Oaks, and I can't see anything get near it at all.
Really, you think it's that? It's a good thing. Well, there you go, 4-5 if you're in with Mickey. Very, very kind of one-sided market here. It's Albafora 5-1 then, and 6-1 bar bigger. If I was going to have an interest in the race, I would have. Well, I am going to have an interest in the race. I'm going to have a few quid on Albaflora for the 3 places, just a straight place bet. Hopefully, I'll get the even money, and yeah, I'll chance a few bob on Albaflora for the straight place. But I just think she's a solid filly, and if any of the 3-year-olds disappoint, I'm sure the race will some way be around her coming up the straight. If Snowfall does go and bolt in, let's hope my one can plug away and get the place. But yeah, Snowfall, very short price, but very good form in the book, and definitely should take all the beating. Nashada is some filly that possibly, if there was one on exposed in the field, it could be her coming back from a break. And yeah, Roger Varians, I think they always took, you know, she was highly thought of. So Snowfall to carry all of Ascot up the home straight for Mickey, and Albaflora for myself to chase her home and hopefully get the straight place bet for me. Right, we move on then to what is a mouth-watering clash. Mickey D in the mile race. We have Palace Pier, an absolute phenomenal horse. You know, just always seems to be brilliant. However, he did disappoint, I think, in this race last year. He missed the break and things didn't go to plan, but that's his only defeat. Very solid. My old friend Baid, the horse I predicted was the best 3-year-old in England. I think he proved me right. What a horse he is. Master of the Seas. Had a really good couple of runs earlier in the season in the Guineas and things like that. Definitely, if he bounces back to his best, could be interesting. The Reverend, a good horse. Alcohol free, interesting enough. Another mouth-watering clash, Mickey, here at the head of the market. Baid a little uneasy, out to 9-4. Palace Pier, 6-4, out to 7-4. Where does it lie here, Mickey? Are you with or against Palace Pier?
5 favourites in the last 10 years, and it was won by the Reverend last year. He was a 5-1 shot. Palace Pier is rated 125. Baid is rated 121 and gets a £3 allowance. So that puts them close. It's only putting them a pound apart. 6 out of the last 10 winners were 3-year-olds, and 3 out of the last 5 were 3-year-olds. So that helps tick a lot of boxes for Baid. Alcohol free clearly didn't stay in the Judgment at mile 2. It won the Sussex Stakes at beaten Poetic Flare, and it was third in the Matrion to Snow Lantern. I would give that a very decent chance. On the ground, everything is all right for it, and it's a nice price. I think it's 10 or 12-1. Palace Pier 6-4. Last year the ground was softer than it is this year. I think it was bordering on heavy, was it last year? It
wasn't great ground. It wasn't great ground at all.
Very shy ground, because it was wonderful tonight. It rode into that. It suited that horse. I like Snow Lantern, or not Snow Lantern. Mother Earth is in it as well, but that seems to run in every second week. You know, it's very. We're very highly racist, but I might have an interest in alcohol free because I can't separate the other 2 up front, because they're a bit short, 6-4 and 9-4. But alcohol free will do me each way around 10 or 12-1.
Yeah, look, I like it's an interesting angle with her. She definitely has some really good form over the mile this season, and she does get her conditions, little bit of juice in the ground. Definitely interesting getting an allowance as well. I suppose she'll receive £6 off the FAV and is a 3 off the rest.
Yeah.
But look, for me, this is a very, obviously I love Baid. I thought he was, when I watched him win his maiden, I knew he was special. Absolutely lumped on him the next day in Newmarket. Told everyone and their dog to put the house on him, that he was the real deal. However, tomorrow, I have no doubt in my mind he could take care of this field tomorrow. However, I do have doubt. I wish to kind of put him away after France. I thought he'd enough done for the year. I would have he got his Group 1 win. I would have liked to see him be put away and come back next year. I just hope this isn't one race too many. However, Palace Pier is a good horse, but it's going to take a great horse to give Baid £3 tomorrow. You know, there's not many horses that give this horse £3. He's a special horse. I thought he won in France the last day. He wasn't that impressive, but he got it done. He was a bit lit. He'd no cover, but he's still seen it out strong. And look, I've said it from the get-go. Baid owes me nothing. I'm on him already. I just wish that I was backing him maybe next year and not just he's had a real short time of it. He only broke his maiden in Leicester this year, you know. So if the real Baid turns up, he's definitely the horse to beat because he's just special. He is. There's no doubt about it. Palace Pier, very, very good, but he's going to have to be great to give this horse £3 tomorrow. And yeah, alcohol free, you can make a case for, but if Baid puts his best foot forward, it'll be some race, Palace Pier Baid, and maybe alcohol free in it. So look, I'm on Baid. I'm not going to disown him now. He's done everything he had to do. Let's hope he can take down probably what is the best miler at the minute, certainly in Europe, in Palace Pier, you know. Definitely interesting. The Reverend, let's just give him a mention, Mickey, because he has got conditions, ran well the last day, was too far out of his ground, and really stayed on behind Real World. You know, another stride he would have won. So definitely interesting. But for me, I'm with Baid to hopefully that it's not one race too many and he can progress past the rest. Right, then we move on to the Giants. We have Mishreef heading the betting. Little on easy out to 7-4. Adiyar ran well in the arc, a little bit lit up front. Dubai Honor definitely 15-2. Adiab 8-1 and then 12-1 or bigger. Al-Azi's in there at 20-1. I wouldn't back him at 200-1 to be honest. But anyway, Mickey D, where does it lie here for you?
Yeah, 5 favourites in the last 10 years, and Adiab won it last year 9-1. When you look back on last year's card, all the heavy ground horses all won last year. You know, and it's not that kind of ground for them this year. So it's good to soft in places, I think, was unless there was rain coming. Only 2 3-year-olds have won it in the last 10 years. Mishreef is rated 127, and Adiyar is rated 127, and Adiyar gets £4. But he got £11 before when he beat him by a length and 3/4, and it didn't look like if the real Mishreef showed up that day. Dubai Honor was supplemented for 75,000, and like you know well, Paddy, when you have plenty of money, you hate throwing it away like that sort of soft. So they must think they have a chance at getting something out of it. Like
they definitely have a chance. They have no chance.
But it did run green and it won well in France the last day. It showed a great turn of foot in the last furlong and a half. But the forgotten horse in this race now, I'll just mention it for an outsider, is Bolshoi Ballet. Right? 33-1 has been. But every time he ran at a mile 2, he won. And he ran 3 times in America since the Epsom Derby. And it 3 different type distances, 1.5 miles, 9 furlongs and 10 furlongs. And the one time it ran the 10 furlongs, it won. And this sort of a finishing stretch will suit it better than Belmont Park the last year because it was a heap of horses in front of him. I'm not saying he'll beat Mishreef or Adiyar, but I think it could be a place bet at a big price. But I'd be all over Mishreef to win this race. And I think it's 6-4, 13-8. I think it's the distance suits it more so than Adiyar. I think I'd take Adiyar at 1.5 miles. I'd take Mishreef at the 1.2 miles.
Yeah, look, we're all hoping here. I want to see Mishreef deliver the goods. Absolute, so good in York the last day. And if that Mishreef turns up, like if Mishreef turns up fully tuned, doesn't get too keen in this race, because last year he got very lit up in this race under Frankie the Tory. and he bombed out. But I really think if we see Mishreef to perform to his best, I hope he does and destroys them. I'd love to see David Egan winning this as well. I just want to mention a few things about the market here. So a couple of interesting things about the market. So forget about the result of the race. But there's a horse here, Fox's Tails, who's 66 to 1, and there's a horse here, Adiab, who's 8 to 1. Now, when it comes to value and pricing up a race, Adiab is value straight away at 8 to 1. No, whether he wins this race tomorrow or comes last, at this price, Adiab is overpriced. Dubai Honor is underpriced. Definitely a progressive horse, but to get to the level that he needs to climb to take down the likes of a Mishreef or an Adi, you're all forgetting Adib, or however you pronounce him. He ran away with this race last year. Absolutely. He's had a funny preparation this time around. He ran against St. Mark's Basilica in that 3-runner race, Mishreef, remember, earlier in the year.
Yeah, but that to get a run into him.
Of course.
And the ground wasn't suitable for him during the summer. He's a heavy ground horse.
Yeah, 100%. But he'll have him fit. Don't worry. William Haggis will have this horse fit. There's no worry about that. I seen Tom Marquand said they've got plenty of pieces of work into him. So at 8 to 1, he's overpriced. Whether he wins or not, that doesn't matter. Fox's Tails is way overpriced at 66 to 1. And I'll tell you why. Dubai Honor just ran down Fox's Tails in Newmarket. Fox's Tails gave him £9. He gave him £9 for a short head beating. That day, there was a pacemaker in the race that day in Newmarket, and he was gone about 4 or 5 lengths clear of the field, and about 4 furlongs out, Sylvester de Souza's on the rail on Fox's Tails, and he knows that this pacemaker, there's horses about to come on his outside, and he knows if he doesn't get off that line, he's going to be caught behind the pacemaker. So 4 furlongs from home, he's forced into making an early move. So he gets after Fox's Tails to hold that line to make sure he doesn't get caught behind the pacemaker. He goes for home, a full 3.5 furlongs out. Dubai Ting follows him through and just nabs him on the line in receipt of £9. You are absolutely mad in the head if you would back Dubai Honor at 7 to 1 and not back Fox's Tails at 6 or 7 to 1 for 4 places, a straight place bet. That is a bet in this race tomorrow. And if that is still there in the morning, I will knock Paddy Power off his stand and any other bookie that'll lay it. Dubai Honor is 7 to 1 and one horse is 66 to 1. They both went on and won a group race since. And Alazi is 20 to 1. This horse beat Alazi the last day. He got ran over over 1.5 miles by a real solid horse. So if you want to look for discrepancies in the market, regardless of result, the bookies have the race priced wrong. So take advantage of it. If you want to win in the long term, Fox's Tails at 6 or 7 to 1 now for 5 places is a way better, for 4 places is a way better bet than backing the Dubai horse to win at 7 to 1, if that makes sense. Whether that result transpires tomorrow, if you want to make money in the long term, that is a cracking bet, regardless of result, because there's nothing between them. In fact, he's £9 better off for a short head beat. And if Fox's Tails had went and ran in France, I'm sure he could have took care of that race as well. Definitely, he was the winner the last day, only to be ran over. He got racing a little early with Alazi the last day, and that softened him up for Solid Stone. That was over 1.5 miles. This horse was a dynamite winner of a handicap in Ascot. So forget about the winner. I'm looking to sneak him into the first 4 at 6 or 7 to 1. So fingers crossed he can do it, and it'll be a cracking bet. If you're going to back the other horse at 7s to win it, that's all I'm saying. So it's just the market is wrong. There's no way he's a 7 to 1 and he's a 66 to 1. There's no sense in it. You know, but anyway, that's my.
I detect the wheelbarrow will be out tomorrow.
Well, no, I genuinely, if you're going to back the Dubai Honor, who was in receipt of £9, Mickey, for a short head, and Fox's Tails was drawn into challenging way too early because of the race genetics. So look, I'm just hoping he can get 4th. Obviously, I want to see Mishreef do it, but I just hope Fox's Tails can sneak into that 4th place, and we'll take the bookies' money. Right, Mishreef to win it, and Fox's Tails to hopefully nab 4th on the line from Dubai Honor. Right, Right, rant over. Anyway, take advantage of them
Just
silly odds compilers.
before I forget it, it's winter coming up now, and that wheelbarrow is it's not safe to be wheeling around the streets from bookie shop to bookie shop unless you put a lid on it. And I have the fella priced up that he'll put a flat little lid on it, 2 hinges, and he'll put a lock and key on one side, and put a little slot in for putting in the money. So the only time you'd have to open that then is when it's full, empty it, and then start again, like, you know. So I'll give you details after.
Listen, they call me the mad professor for a reason. I have the wheelbarrow booby trapped. Right, we'll move on, Mickey. So, to an interesting race, definitely a wide open race, the 4:30. And I see Frankie Latore and Johnny Gosden at the head of there. John and Teddy Gosden heads it off here. Sunray Major. And they also have the second favourite here, King Leonidas. There's a nugget as well, Sir Busker. Yeah. Where does it lie here, Mickey? Because I have a feeling young Dylan Brown McMonigal could run a big one here on Raise You, trained by none other than the brilliant Joseph O'Brien.
Yeah, I used to be trained by Andrew Balding. There is a race in that, definitely, without it, and cut on the ground suits it. Either a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old has won this. This is in the last, it's only 7 runners. This is the 8th one. Drawn on low, would say under 10, 6 out of the last 7. John Gosden has the 2 market leaders, as you said, Sunray Major. It's up £6 for its last penalty. King Leonidas is drawn 8, lightly raced. But I was looking at a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old drawn low. Come up with 2 of them. The 4-year-old is Nugget. It's drawn 7. It was its 4th run this year. It won the Spring Cup in April of '92, and it's won off 101 the last day, and it's up to 104. So it's only £3 higher. And the 5-year-old that I chose is Sir Busker. Last year it was 3rd in the Queen Anne, a Group 1 horse, to Palace Pier. Like, it's only beaten a few lengths, and it likes a bit of cut in the ground. It was 4th in a Group 2 in August in York to Space Blues, and Space Blues went on to win a Group 1 in Longchamp the weekend of the Arc. And its last run, it was 3rd in a listed race to Moshedev in Sandown in September. So I love a listed horse, Group 1, Group 2 listed horse coming down into handicap company, even though it has to carry top weight. And some bookies are paying 6 places. I'm on at 25 to 1 already, each way.
Pretty so.
I'm happy.
You're happy. I see he's short as 9 to 1 now. Definitely a horse that deserves to get his head in front. He's no doubt about it. He's ran all the time. He just runs his old heart out and just doesn't seem to be good enough in the better races.
But he runs well on the straight mile too. You see, this is the straight mile. He's run well on that before, better than around the bend. So
absolutely. I think Raise You is the draw any biased in this, Mickey, or not?
Yeah, you need to be drawn low.
Right. Well, that's the last race of the day. My lad's drawn at 19, but anyway, what can I do?
Yeah, because the favorite actually is drawn high, is 21. That's why in the last 10 years, the last 7 runners of this, there's only one outside, one higher than 10. The rest was 10 or lower, 6 out of 7.
Right. Well, then you'd have to go with King Leonidas and James Dial. Look, I'm going to go against that stat. Just I like Raise You. It's the last race of the day. If they have gone up the other side all day, maybe it might be a bit more beneficiary to come up. I'll just chance him. Look, I know he's nicely handicapped. He's not very well handicapped, but he's nicely handicapped. And with the 6 places, statistics are there to be broken. And just another horse that could cap off a brilliant season for Marco Gianni is Dashing Roger. Was a nice winner the last day. Looks progressive. He's only a 4-year-old. Doesn't mind digging the ground. Definitely of interest. But anyway, I'll go with Raise You each way in the last and Dashing Roger. Hopefully the bookies are all paying 6 places. 2 against the field for me. Mickey D, very, very good as always. Let's hope we landed on a few winners. Anything else you have to tell us or anything going on?
Yeah, there's There's one horse tomorrow in Leopardstown in the Kellavullen Stakes, Glanthorn. It won first time out in April, and it beat Castle Stair. And Castle Stair already had a winner, a run under his belt at the time. And then it didn't run, it was put away similar to Tenebrism. And it ran in the Dewhurst, stumbled out of the stalls, and it still finished ahead of Go Bears Go, which is a decent enough horse. So it pretty well was running with the handbrake on, and it's running tomorrow. I've seen it up 3-1 favourite, so I'll be having a piece of that.
What's Glen? That's number 3 in the 315, is it?
Lunton,
yeah, Shamey Heffernan, yeah. So lads, Mickey D's on that. I actually thought there was another interesting horse in this race. It only ran 2 days ago. It was Boundless Ocean. Just got bet on the line. Yeah, but if you ask me, they were riding it like a piece of work. They didn't want to go for the horse. It was like they were minding them for this. And although it's only 2 days later, they kind of used it. They kind of used that race. Like, don't get me wrong, they tried to go.
Yeah, they've done that before.
They used that race as like a final piece of work, kind of. They weren't too hard on him. Now, they went to try and win the race. He just got nabbed by one coming out of the pack. But he could step up, and a 14-1 could be interesting. Boundless Ocean, I'll go maybe each way as an alternative to Mickey D's. Or maybe put them in a reverse forecast with Kane the bookie.
Yeah.
Mickey D, it has been a pleasure bringing you on here, kicking the bookies in the nuts at all these big meetings. I hope your good run of form continues. Let's hope we can have a solid day again tomorrow. No doubt. Anyway, Mickey D, as always, a pleasure to have you on the show and your expert statistical analysis, second to none in the business. Thanks. The time for cotton is over. Lads, ladies and gentlemen, Mickey D, let's hope he cleans them tomorrow.
Bash the bookies.